This is terrible news for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Terrible news if you have Trevor Lawrence in fantasy. Terrible news if you have Brian Thomas Jr. in fantasy, Gabe Davis, Evan Engram, any Jacksonville Jaguar in fantasy. And if you had bet Jacksonville already this week, you're up against it here. This morning, Ian Rappaport of NFL Media tweeting that Jaguars quarterback Trevor Lawrence, remember we told you yesterday that Lawrence was dealing with multiple upper body injuries, didn't practice on Wednesday or in a limited fashion, and his status was up in the air for this weekend. Rappaport tweeting that Lawrence unlikely to play Sunday against the Vikings, and surgery is a possibility of what's being called an injured left shoulder for Trevor Lawrence. So if Lawrence does not start this game on Sunday, it would be Mac Jones. Who? Mac Jones starting for the Jacksonville Jaguars. C.J. Beathard would be the backup quarterback for the Jags. And if this is what it's going to be, and Trevor Lawrence needs to undergo surgery, or Trevor Lawrence is injured for Jacksonville, they need to shut him down for the rest of the season. He should not play another snap for the Jaguars. No matter what anyone thinks of fantasy football, if this is real life for the Jaguars, you shut Trevor Lawrence down. Doug Peterson gets fired. And then, give Ben Johnson a blank check, to run with a healthy Trevor Lawrence coming up next season. And if you've got Brian Thomas in fantasy like I do, or you've got Evan Engram in fantasy, and you need Jacksonville's passing game to operate at a decently high level this year, to get you home in your fantasy leagues, you better hope against hope that Trevor Lawrence comes back. Because I don't think Mac Jones is going to be able to support all of these players. With a better head coach, maybe, but not with that slap clown, Doug Peterson, who seems more intent on playing golf in December, January, and February than he does on coaching games in the National Football League. This season, an absolute disgrace for the Jacksonville Jaguars with the way that things have turned out, and it lies at the feet of the overmatched head coach, Doug Peterson, and the loser general manager, Trent Baalke. I'd rather have Baalke from Perfect Strangers picking the players. He has conned and fooled Shad Khan into thinking, that's rhyme there, Shad, C-O-N, K-A-H-N, has conned Shad Khan into thinking that he's actually good at his job. Shad Khan's got to fire everybody. But that's a story for another time. You bet on this tremendous football Thursday. Femi, let's talk about the game this weekend now with the Jaguars and the Vikings, and a betting application coming up in the next couple days of this Trevor Lawrence injury. Now, we don't know if Lawrence is 100% out. The betting market seems to think that he is, because as it stands right now, the Vikings are a touchdown favorite on Sunday in Jacksonville. This was 4.5 earlier in the week. Now it is 7, Minnesota -7, and the total has come down to 44. How do you handicap this game on Sunday if indeed it is Mac Jones starting for the Jags?
Yeah, I think we can make a safe assumption that it's going to be Mac Jones out there, because Thursday practice, Mac Jones going through the first team reps, getting first in the QB drills. It looks like Trevor Lawrence is not going to play in the game. I think that's a safe assumption to make. Now, typically, that would set up what we like to call here on You Better You Bet, the fallen hero spot. But I don't like what's going on in Jacksonville. And we've talked about this for about 6 weeks now, about how Doug Peterson feels like dead coach walking. If Peterson was secure in his standing as the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars,
does that surprise you that he still has a job? How is this possible?
I don't know if Shad Khan is just holding on to thinking that this team is going to be really good, because you'll remember before the season started, he said that this is the best team that the Jaguars have ever assembled.
No, that wasn't what he said. That wasn't what he said. And the difference is important here. The syntax is important. He said this is the most talented team the Jaguars have ever had. Now, are you a Lord of the Rings guy?
I'm not, no.
I don't even, Mike Brown will know this probably. Who was whispering in Theoden's ear? I don't know. I when I saw these movies in the theaters, I was so stoned. I'm just being honest. The guy whispering and manipulating Theoden. That's what I imagine. Trent Baalke whispering in Shad Khan's ear. We're the most talented team we've ever had. Wormtongue, apparently. That's a great name for a bad guy. You would think, by the way, that if in real life, if someone on our staff was named Wormtongue, I'd be we should probably fire this person and get somebody else. Anyway, please continue.
But what you're saying though is Trent Baalke, typically in a game of CYA, cover your ass, is trying to set the whole scenario of hey, this is a really talented team. If it fails, it's not my fault.
He's good at that game.
Coach's fault. He's
not
really
good at general managing. CYA, he might be the number 1 overall pick.
Hall of Famer, first ballot. Trent Baalke, CYA.
Got Jim Harbaugh out of San Francisco.
Who all he does is win. He literally got Harbaugh canned because he was CYA. That's what it is. But I think that the fact that he's still the head coach is Shad Khan probably clinging on to something that's not there. But I think this upcoming Sunday, I think it's going to get bad. Like how I'm going to look to attack this game, I think you're laying Vikings alts. Like I don't want to lay 7. That's already happened. I think you're laying 14.5 or 17.5. I think that this has the potential to get really, really ugly for the Jacksonville Jaguars because not only is Trevor Lawrence not there, but it's also like a season that's gone down the drain. It's already down the drain. It's not going anymore. It's already down the drain. And I think the team has a big time quit potential.
They're in the sewer.
I know they fought hard. Yeah, they're 100%. They fought
they're
hard
like
against
they're
Philadelphia
next to
come back into
Splinter
the
and like
game,
Michelangelo and like Leonardo and company. We're in the sewers right now. They don't get to
Michelangelo's over my shoulder right now. But like, I think that's just kind of like it's such a bad situation to where I think it gets off the rails. This team is begging and dying to quit on Doug Peterson, even though they showed a little bit last week. I thought that was more about Philadelphia not being able to put them away versus Jacksonville being really good and like showing fight. So this is alts for me. I'm ignoring the fallen hero spot. We're gonna go ahead and play some alt lines with the Vikings. Laying 14.5, laying 17.5. I think it gets ugly. I think this is the last game we see of Doug Peterson. And my guess that last Sunday when they covered against Philadelphia might be the last game we see of Trevor Lawrence in 2024. I think they give him the surgery after the end of this weekend and they shut him down for the rest of the way because it's a lost cause. What is the point of sitting there at 2-8?
You know, I'll say this about Trevor Lawrence, and we've seen this throughout his career. Like he's what we would call like a gamer. Like, and I don't mean like me, like sitting in a chair, like playing like Final Fantasy VII. Like he's a gamer. Like this ain't Anthony Richardson, like tapping out. Like Trevor Lawrence is a gamer. I feel like if Trevor Lawrence can play, I feel like he'll play on Sunday if he feels like he can. They'll shoot him up at the Toradol and he'll go out there and play. Cool. I don't know if this is. Look, now the insiders have said it's unlikely, so I'm not saying it's going to happen. Just that I don't know. Like this is a deeply, deeply stupid organization. Deeply stupid. Urban Meyer, anybody? This quarterback's is going to be like ruined after all of this. Like it's really unfortunate here. So I wouldn't be shocked if Trevor Lawrence ended up playing at some point this season. I agree with you that it would be the right move for the franchise to shut him down and keep him fresh for next year. I don't know if that's going to be what they do. You sounded really confident, and I will say I don't disagree necessarily. If a better head coach, this might be a spot. How about this? With Mike McCarthy, I'd consider taking the points with the Jaguars. Think about that. With Mike McCarthy, I'd consider taking the points. With Doug Peterson, no way. So last week, you went 10 toes down. You stood on business. Cowboys going to beat the Falcons. Now look, we're not all. I'm wrong all the time. Will you put 10 toes down and stand on business? Vikings by 14 or more this Sunday on the road in Jacksonville, assuming Trevor Lawrence does not. So it's not like we hold you to it if Trevor Lawrence starts.
So right now I'm looking at BetMGM. Vikings laying 13.5 plus 185. Give me that. Vikings by 2 touchdowns on Sunday. Like, it's over. And like we said, we would love to back the fallen hero.
How many toes down?
I think that 10 toes down, standing on business. I think Doug Peterson coaches his last game on Sunday. Get him out of there. They start to look towards 2025, but the Vikings go into Duval County and they embarrass the boys in Jacksonville. I like Minnesota laying 13.5 plus 185. Alt lines, baby. That's how much we love it.